separate fractions, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. There's our three answers. That was a tough one. There we go. Okay, so number 7. Looking here at number 7. They want us in the end to, it's basically same thing, find the zeros, but they want us to say write P in factored form. Like you can see the answers right there. They want us to write it with parentheses. That's the same thing as finding zeros. It's just when you put them in the parentheses, you do the opposite, right? Remember, whenever we stick something in parentheses, we do the opposite. So they're just making sure we know how to do that. It's going to be exactly the same process. Let's do it. So step 1, you know. Step 1 up here. You're going to have to graph it at Desmos. Not Desnos, but Desmos.com. Find a clear 0. And you can see right there at 5, that's a clear, and in fact, it's the only clear real 0. It's the only real 0. It's the only place the graph hits the x-axis, and so therefore the other zeros are going to be imaginary. We can see that's true, huh? See, the other factors or zeros, same thing, are going to be imaginary. So the only clear 0 is at x equals, well, that's -5. I'm going to be a little careful there. That's -5, isn't it? Because here's 0, and these are positive numbers this way. Here's regular 5. So that's -5, -5. Okay. Step 2. Divide by that -5. Time for synthetic division. Let's do it. So, the -5 here. Grab the coefficients. 1, 5, 4, 20. So there's the coefficients. So now I'm just going to bring down the 1 and let the synthetic division begin. Multiply. -5 times 1 is -5. Add them up, 0. Next step. Multiply. -5 times 0 is 0. Add them up, 4. And then -5 times 4, you know what's going to happen. -20, 0 remainder, of course, because x minus 5 goes in evenly. All right. Step 3, what do we have? Y equals, so what are the pieces that are left? 1 x squared, 0x, and 4. And this guy, x, and what's it going to be? X plus 5. Remember, because it's opposite when you put it in parentheses next to an x. A single number in parentheses next to x, it's always opposite. So the opposite of -5, +5. Okay, now it's quad time. As you know, quadratic formula, -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's identify our a and our b and our c. So this is a. This is b, this is c. So -0 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4, all over 2a. And so what's that? That's going to be -0 plus or minus the square root of 0 minus 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. All over 2 times 1 is 2. And so that is, -0 is just 0 is just gone. Plus or minus square root of minus 16 over 2. We don't need 0 in the front, right? 0 doesn't do anything, so I just get rid of it. Remember what we do with a negative inside of a root? A negative, you can't square root a -16. What times itself would ever be negative 16? Nothing. It's imaginary. So you jump out the I. So what do we have? Then I'll bring it over here. That gives us plus or minus I square root of 16 over 2. And that is plus or minus I times 4 over 2, right? Root 16 is just 4, and the root's gone. Whenever you root something, it vanishes. All right, and then last step, 2 goes into 4 2 times. So plus or minus 2I. So those are the other two zeros, right? It means plus 2I and minus 2I. Now, in the end, they want us to write this factored. So it's going to be y equals, or p of x, whatever, equals, and then they want the parenthesis. Now, you got to do the opposite, remember? So the opposite of plus 2I is minus 2I. And the opposite of minus 2I is plus 2I. And then the last one is the x plus 5, because that's the opposite of the negative 5. So x plus 5. See, we did opposite, opposite, opposite of the actual zeros. Because the actual zeros, right here, those were the actual zeros. But opposite, opposite, opposite when we put them in the parentheses. And that's what they want on this one. They want the parentheses. So it's the same thing. You just find the zeros, then you put them in a parenthesis, each of them next to an x, opposite. So there it is, same thing. Okay, number 8. This is the hardest one in the homework. Here we go. You know step 1 is to graph at Desmos